guys, Mermaid here, and I'm going to show you today how to make a fabric tail that you can swim in. This is part of a larger series to show you how to make a hybrid fabric silicone tail. But right now we're just working on the fabric part, and if you want to watch my previous video about designing a custom fluke, that would probably be helpful because we're going to talk about that today, although you don't have to do a custom fluke with this tail pattern. Let's get started. So for this project, you will need fabric. I got this in the activewear, it's performance fabric at Joann's, I think that's what they call it. It's like swimsuit material. This is 2 yards. I think it's 80% nylon and 20% spandex. I'm not certain. But just like nice swimsuit fabric. I'm a pretty tall person, so if I'm going to be using my large fluke, which is 27 by 24 inches, and if I'm using my full height, I'm 5'10", so this would go up to my waist, then I'm fine with 2 yards. I've used 2.5 in the past, and it was just extra fabric that just got wasted, so I don't need that much fabric. The next thing you will need is scissors. Then in terms of measuring yourself, you're going to want a tape measure, and you can either go with measuring around yourself and then adding a couple inches, which is fine, that's valid, just at several different points along your legs, or you can use an already existing tail skin. This is a Fin Fun Aussie Green tail, was my first tail, that I'm just going to trace around to try to, and then add a bit of extra width and length, just to kind of get the proper shape of the tail. I would also advise you to add a little bit more width than you think you'll need to your tail, because the painting job that we're going to do later is going to decrease the ability for the tail to stretch. It's going to add more silicone, so the tail won't be nearly as stretchy, so you want to make sure you can get into it. The next thing I'm going to do is fold my fabric in half lengthwise. So I will have 2 pieces of fabric, and I'll be cutting them out at the same time, so they'll be the same. If you're doing this with pattern fabric, make sure to do it so the pretty pattern sides on the inside. And then I went ahead and laid out my fluke. You can use your vinyl or your paper as long as they are similar. If you made any deviations with the vinyl, then use the vinyl. But because I'm using all these little spikes, I wanted to use the paper one because that's not on the vinyl. And then either go ahead and lay out your tail mock-up or your old tail. And then if you don't have one of those, then you can go ahead and start measuring around yourself. Just make sure to leave plenty of room for the extra to go up the sides, so don't trace like right around your body. And then make sure to leave a little bit for seam allowance, which is just the extra material that you need to sew, so it keeps it from falling apart. A few additional things you might want to use. I am going to be putting elastic at the top of my tail. You really don't need to do this because it's so stretchy, but I am going to anyway because my tails have a tendency to slip. So if you're going to do that, add another like 2 or 3 inches at the top of your tail up there to make sure that it stays on. And then an additional thing I'm going to do is at the bottom, I'm going to put on some of this very heavy-duty Velcro. This is the box, so you know it looks like it's made by Scotch. Some very heavy-duty Velcro to just make sure that the bottom stays closed, because as you swim, it tends to open up, and then you can see your monofin flopping around and everything. So this is the really strong stuff. It's plastic, so it's a pain to sew through, but if you get the fabric stuff, then it will just come undone. So I'd really recommend this stuff. Let's start cutting. Here is the cutout of my tail. As you can see, the hips are significantly wider because I'm kind of a hippie person, and my last tail, the silicone around the hips kept cracking. So it's going to be a little wider on this one. Also, if you value your sanity and your thumbs, I would recommend doing a simpler fluke design than mine, because it was a lot of cutting. Although it would look cool, but still, a lot of cutting. Next, I'm going to go ahead and sew up the sides down here with a sewing machine. I'm probably going to go over it twice, just to make sure that it's really stable and it's not going to come undone. And then down here, I'm just going to sew each of these together, sew the sides together by hand. And then from like here to here, I'm going to leave open because obviously your monofin has to go in somehow. And then I'll eventually put Velcro along here. And then I'm also going to do a line of stitching from like here and here for something for the vinyl inserts to push up against. So let's go ahead and get that started. I'm sorry I don't have any pictures or video of this bit, but I went ahead and sewed the sides together and sewed in the elastic. I then turned it inside out, well, right side out, it was inside out to begin with, and sewed across the fluke to hold the vinyl inserts in place. And then I sewed the little tips together by hand. And then I sewed in the Velcro. So if you're just using this as a fabric tail, you are good to go. You can go swimming. If you want to put silicone on this, then keep watching the videos and we'll get you there. Hope you've enjoyed this project. Have a good day.